We're going to go ahead and begin to work on our ORCID website. We're starting off with the HTML that we reviewed in one of the previous lectures and a style sheet that we also talked about. So our starting point for the style sheet simply sets the HTML5 elements to have a display level of block. And inside of our HTML, you can see that we're using an HTML5 doc type, and we have a link to our style sheet. We're using the HTML5 shiv so that we can force those IE browsers that are less than IE9 to recognize the HTML5 tags. And then here in the body tag we have a div that wraps around everything on the page. This is a div instead of an HTML5 tag because it's not adding any semantic content to the page. It's strictly here so that we have a hook for our CSS to incorporate some design styles. We then have our header tag, which contains an image that's a link of the logo. We have a first section tag, which I've assigned an ID of main content, and this is going to just have an article with some paragraphs of text. Then we have another section that has a class name of promo. This is utilizing a class name because it's something that I might want to use later on multiple times on the page, so I chose to make it a class as opposed to an ID. And inside this section we have several articles. These also have the class of promo assigned to them, and they're just different promotional pieces of information. So there's 3 of those articles that appear on the page. I made a div with a class of clear it because at some point I'm going to be using floats, so I'm going to need to clear that content. And we close that section. Then I have my nav tag, which contains an unordered list and the navigational elements. And then I have the footer. And you can see that everything is actually contained within that container div. So that's what we're going to start off using. The first thing that we're going to go ahead and talk about is how we can embed web fonts. Web fonts give you the ability to add unique font families to your website using CSS3 without having to turn those font styles into images like we had to do in the past. So there's all types of fonts out there that you can add to your page. We're going to go ahead and get the code to add the font functionality to begin with. As I mentioned, there's all sorts of places where you can get the fonts. We're going to be using Google Fonts, and Google offers all of these fonts for free that you can incorporate into your page. Once you go to the Google font page, and the address is simply www.google.com/fonts, or you could always just Google Fonts to get to this section or this page. But it's going to show you how many font families are available. You can see that there's plenty. There's 637. There's many different categories, so if you were looking for a unique category, you could consolidate the search by unchecking some of these. If you know what the name of the font is, you can simply type it in here and it will go ahead and find that font if it's available. Or you could simply just scroll through the list of fonts, and at some point you're going to get to the bottom of the page where it will give you even more fonts. It's just going to keep loading them, and you might need to go to another page eventually. But you can see that there's all sorts of different styles of fonts that we can add. I know the font family that I want to add. It's called Josephine. So I'm going to go ahead and just type or begin to type that font family name into the search box, which is going to show me the 2 different styles of Josephine that I have available. For this particular project, we're going to be using the sans serif family. So I am going to click Add to Collection, and that's going to go ahead and add this one font family, Josephine Sans, for use. If I'm ready to use the font, I can simply click the Use button right here, and this will allow me to pick any alternate styles if they're available. Google has a nice little speedometer or fontometer, if you want to call it that, that will give you some heads up as far as how much file size you're going to add by utilizing these different fonts. When you're using Google Fonts, Google is actually hosting the fonts, so there's nothing that you have to host on your own website. There are other services or other ways to utilize web fonts where you may need to host the fonts yourself, but with Google's CSS3 fonts, it actually is hosting them. So the downside of utilizing Google Fonts is that you have to be connected to the internet for the fonts to show up. If you were offline, then the fonts wouldn't show up. But for us, we're fine with utilizing Google Fonts. So as I mentioned, I'm going to pick the different styles, and you'll just check and add the different styles. So by default, it's showing us normal, which has a font weight of 400. And you can see that there's thin, light, semi-bold, bold. Not all fonts will have these different styles, but this particular one has quite a few. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add in semi-bold, bold, and you can see as I do this how the page load time starts to increase. We're going to add the semi-bold italic and normal italic as well. So you can see I'm kind of getting into the yellow area right here. This is something to be aware of. You don't want to just indiscriminately add tons and tons of fonts because it is going to affect the page load time. So make sure that you're only picking ones that you're actually going to use in your project. Then down here you can specify a character set. Sometimes you'll have subsets that are offered. For this particular font we just have Latin, and so we'll leave that. Then it's going to give you some code that will allow you to incorporate this font into your project. And there's some different ways that you can do this. You can use the standard link code, which is simply just CSS link code. I'm just going to select this and copy it because this is what I'm going to add into my project. You can use the @import, which is going to import in a separate style sheet, or you can incorporate it via JavaScript. But we're just going to use the standard method. Down below this, it's going to give you instructions for how you would actually integrate this font into your project. So as we go through our project, I'll review this with you. And that's pretty much it. It really is that simple. So I have copied the code that I need. I'm going to go back into my code view, and I'm going to now add the link to this particular font. Now, one important thing to note is that you're going to want to link to the font prior to your style sheet. So the font is then loaded, and then it'll be available for you to use on your style sheet. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a return or two, and I'm going to paste in this code, and you can see that it just adds the link tag, and then it has a href value which passes some parameters. These happen to be the font and the font styles. It sets the rel to style sheet and the type to text CSS. So now the font is available for me to use, and once we start to augment our CSS, we'll be able to take advantage of this font and incorporate it into our project.